Just spamming this at every Republican account I see on Twitter. Most of them are being quiet right now. Most of them are being quiet. I think that for the most part, they understand. Like, they all already knew Trump was a pedophile. This is just not the time to speak up. You know, this is not the winning issue. Some of the more hardcore loyalists are going to talk about it, but I don't think beyond that. Like, Christ, look at the strat here. Okay, let's take a look at Fox News. What is Fox News talking about right now? Okay, Trump floats national emergency on housing affordability. Sports. Charlie Kirk. Second oil tanker seized outside Venezuela. Hurting the gospel message. Immigration scheme. Whatever. How far do we have to go before any mention? They do not want to talk about this. Karl Rove. Ironic. Stephen Miller and Somalis. Elise Stefanik. Gutfeld. Jesse Waters. Oh, here we go. Most Americans don't understand this about disastrous Epstein saga. What is it that Bill Clinton? He knew Bill Clinton. Is that it? Okay, so that's one 4-minute video. Scroll up. Did I miss another one? Oh, here we go. Too much information inside new Epstein file photos. Thank you. DOJ breaking. DOJ releases Epstein files ahead of deadline. No, it didn't. It released them on the last possible day. Oh, and then there we go. Breaking. Bill Clinton photos found in new Epstein files release. So that's what you're getting. The right-wing strategy on this one is barely even to reframe. It's just to avoid the subject entirely. Ahead of deadline. Here, let's see how they're talking about it.
Fox News alert, the Justice Department starting to release hundreds of thousands of pages of Epstein files. Today was the deadline. We're starting to see new
Today was the deadline, but according to this video released by your network earlier the same day, they released it ahead of deadline. What the hell?
Of former President Bill Clinton pictured with disgraced billionaire Jeffrey Epstein.
Bill Clinton? I'm just going to the first Bill Clinton mention on these. Like I said, their only strategy here is to point at Bill Clinton and pretend people on the left like Bill Clinton the way people on the right like Trump. In a way, it's actually really sad, like from their perspective, and I think it actually damages the integrity of their movement because it really denigrates how much they rely on Trump. You know, they hold Trump in such a position. It's such a cult of personality that it kind of minimizes his value within their movement when they turn around and like everyone they point at, they're like, well, this is him to you. You like this guy as much as we like Trump, you know? I don't know. I feel like you're kind of downplaying how much you like your guy.
All right, joining me now is New York Post columnist and Fox News contributor Miranda Devine. Miranda, it's great to see you. We've had long conversations together about Jeffrey Epstein, both on and off air. Here now is new information. It is not remarkably new in what has yet been discovered publicly, but is being made available publicly. So what are you looking for in this latest dump on Epstein?
Well, I've started off looking at the photographs because it seemed that the documents that were easily, to look at in the distance that came up were things that we've already seen, like flight logs.
Bill Clinton mentioned. There we go. All right. Third one.
Fox News alert. The Justice Department has started just now to drop 300,000 documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. This was scheduled to take place before a midnight deadline. Now, as questions swirl over what will
that's why they released early. I see.
Be made public, the New York Times confirms what we already know, that there is no evidence implicating President Trump in Epstein's abuse of trafficking minors. With that, let's go to David Spunt in Washington, who has the latest. David.
Well, hey, Will, the law called for these documents to be released today in full by 11:59 p.m. on the 19th of December. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche says that some 300,000, not 30,000, 300,000 documents will be released at some point today. They're already starting to populate online, but they're disorganized. It's all over the place. We're looking at pages that have redactions. We're looking at pages of court documents. We're trying to find out exactly what is new. But Blanche said that this is going to be the beginning of the release, and that is the key word. And I do want to set the expectations because officials say there will be documents that will be released over the next few weeks, though the deadline was today. Now,
that's illegal. Yeah, that's what a deadline. You can't put stuff out after the deadline. That's illegal.
DOJ lawyers have been working for the past month to go line by line, more than 185. We're told to expect redactions as the DOJ has the right to redact information that may compromise victim information. Fox has also told it's likely that some of the files released today may have already been released at some form in the past. But what's unclear, though, is how these files will be organized. Now, these files have been a headache for Attorney General Pam Bondi, also the president himself, who continue to field questions about Epstein.
Remember when Bill Nye said gender's on a spectrum 10 years ago and internet acted like he became Hitler? Isn't it crazy how when we're all older, everyone who was woke at the right time is going to look like a sparkling diamond in the rough, and everyone else will have been washed away by the tide of history? Think of like Mr. Rogers and sitting with was it the black mailman on the Mr. Rogers show? Like, at the time, that was crazy controversial, and I bet a bunch of people were like, yep, so that was like a fluke, but there's no way that's going to be the norm. And now, even the most right-wing political movement in this country is like, we love our black people, yes, you know? Yeah, sharing they were in like a little pool. Oh, was he cop? Okay, sorry, the mailman was a different guy. Like, this social and political movement is so inept and so short-lived that they can't even survive their own political administrations. Do you know how embarrassing that is? Like, it's not even like, it's not as though the Republican Party right now is being destroyed by a competent Democratic Party. It's not as though Trump's unpopularity is being orchestrated by like an extremely competent counter-political movement or whatever. They're basically killing themselves. In 10, 20 years, we are going to look back on people like Bill Nye, who were woke when it counted, with a lot of fondness. And for the people who weren't, I think they're going to pretend. Just like all the people who were racist in like the 1950s and 60s grew up and they were like, yeah, I was always a big fan of MLK. Yeah, like seriously, a lot of them did that. That was really common. Because you don't want to be the guy in 1987 being like, yep, I was racist against MLK. No, that's terrible. You don't want to do that. You pretend. Yeah, one day everyone will have always been against this. By the time we're all old, everyone will have agreed. Everyone will have been opposed to Israel. Everyone will have been anti-MAGA, you know? Everyone will have been woke when it counted. Yeah, it's like the Iraq War. A lot of people today who were pro-Iraq War event, now it's just an embarrassing memory for them. They'll pretend otherwise unless there's evidence proving they were pro-Iraq War back when it happened. And even then, sometimes they just lie.
Documents after Bondi said she had Epstein's client list for review on her desk last February. Here's Blanche earlier today.
We are looking at every single piece of paper that we are going to produce, making sure that every victim, their name, their identity, their story, to the extent it needs to be protected, is completely protected. And so I expect that we're going to release more documents over the next couple of weeks.
Illegal.
So today, several 100,000. And then over the next couple weeks, I expect several 100,000 more.
Administration sources have told Fox that even if they release everything to the public, people will still be skeptical and never satisfied. Now, Epstein victims will have called for full transparency as long as victim information is protected. But Democrats on Capitol Hill have already threatened legal action if all of the documents...
And Thomas Massie, by the way. No bill mentioned here. It looks like this might actually be a bill-less Fox News segment. How interesting. I mean, there's this one where the actual thumbnail has Bill Clinton in it.
Fox News alert back to the Justice Department and the release of hundreds of thousands of pages of Epstein files. We've got some new pictures from the files to show you.
This one's
We're
new.
going to go to David Spunt in Washington that has those photos and the latest. David.
Hi, Will. About 300,000 pages. That is the goal of the Justice Department, to get that in by the midnight deadline tonight. Although DOJ says there will be several files released. We don't know who the other person is. We don't know when this was taken, because the Justice Department does not say so in that evidence. So this is all incredibly nuanced, and I want to make that clear to our viewers. Also, there is a lot of redactions on many of these pages. For example, if we have it, we can show. If we don't, we can't show. But it's just essentially black chunks. It talks about a masseuse list, and it just says masseuse list, and there's 7 pages of complete black chunks. And then there's an asterisk in the corner, Will, and it says to protect victim information. And the law that was signed by President Trump after being passed by Congress, directs the DOJ to put all of this information online in a publicly searchable format, but it calls on victim information to be protected. The law also clearly states that politicians, titans, industry titans, or famous people, world leaders, politicians, anybody that may be embarrassed by some of the information should not be redacted solely for that reason.
Well, look how that one turned out, huh? Christ. I did see a contact book printout that showed names but not addresses or phone numbers. The hasty redacting of the files is also going to lead to a lot of genuine misinformation. I could be half remembering this, and I apologize if I am, but I believe that the Epstein files that were released yesterday included a photo of what appeared to be a black book list of Michael Jackson's phone number, you know? And it had a black box that was hiding everything but the name, Michael Jackson. But that photo was actually released years and years ago in a previous release. And it was unredacted then. And the unredacted photo shows that the phone number doesn't belong to Michael Jackson. It's actually the phone and contact information for one of MJ's lawyers who had previously worked, I think, as an associate of Epstein once. So it wasn't actually MJ that was being implicated there. They just had Michael Jackson to remind Epstein that that was Michael Jackson's lawyer. I believe that's correct. It was something along those lines. So the fact that this stuff is all being redacted so hastily and with so much deliberate, like malicious, incompetence means that it's going to be difficult to derive conclusions from this. Like there are probably photos of Epstein with kids in these files, and the kids' faces are blacked out. But those kids are just like the children of people who visited Epstein at his New York estate, who weren't trafficked or weren't victims of trafficking. I still think it's pretty bad to bring like your kids. It's bad to meet with Epstein. It's worse to bring your kids to meet Epstein. But there is a difference between that and it being a kid of or like a picture of an actual trafficked kid, right? But again, the hasty redactions make it almost impossible to know. So that's all it is. Not a single FBI or DOJ whistleblower yet. I guarantee you they are only... one of the reasons these files are being redacted so hastily is because they're only giving them to be censored by some of the most, like, toad stooge people in the DOJ. Like, they are making sure the only people with access to these files are incredibly compromised. I 100... they are not pitching this to, like, a broad group. They're only getting the elite sycophants.
So I'd first like to ask you about this missing photo that my colleague Fallon was just talking about from the DOJ release and the post on X by the Oversight Democrats. Put this all together.
Well, nobody knows what happened, but I suspect somebody saw the photo there and demanded that it be removed immediately. So there would only be a handful of people who would have that kind of power to override what had been, disclosed before, and there wouldn't be that many people who would be, I would say, irrational enough to think that that wouldn't be noticed. But beyond that, it's
so f***ed up that in the Democratic Party you can be this uncharismatic and still be a legacy politician. You're being given the easiest pitch in the world. The pedophile president, your opponent, is hastily and ineffectively censoring the pedophile documents and just transparently remove files from the website. And this is your response? Like none of it? What? No, like gloating? It's a layup, man. It's not even a slam dunk. The net is on your level. You're standing over it right now. Like you need to spike that shit. I have no idea why they speak with such moderation. You can call him a pedophile. It's not illegal in the United States. Public figures can, in order for you to be prosecuted for slander, you need to violate the actual malice standard, which you wouldn't be here.
No, who's behind it?
All right, well, let's talk about the law, which was signed by the president on November 19th, requiring the DOJ to release all unclassified Epstein materials within 30 days. And yet, DOJ admits it's only a partial disclosure. There's more to come. And many of these documents were heavily redacted. I had my colleague print out some of them here. I mean, for those of you who haven't seen this, okay, this is Grand Jury, New York. Oh, that's good. Yeah. Another one from Grand Jury, New York. Let's just do one more. Grand Jury. They're all like that. 119 pages worth from the New York.
It really makes you wonder how bad that grand jury report is if they felt the need to black it out entirely. Like, they're running through hundreds of thousands of files here, but that specific grand jury report is so compromised that they just blacked all of it out. New York, where Donald Trump was at the time, you know? I'm just saying.
Grand jury file completely blacked out. Is this release a violation of the law? Could it be obstruction? And how do you interpret these redactions?
They also processed it early because it was at the front of the files, top priority, 100%. Yeah, they were like, this shit cannot be seen. You need to just flat out use the fill tool, okay? No referencing the previous layer, just a full black page.
And whether they cross the line into unlawful concealment.
It's absolutely a violation of the law because they were supposed to have turned over 100% of all the materials. And we know that they'd been through them before because they told us back in July that they had thoroughly scrutinized all of the materials in the file and could not find any basis to think that there would be evidence upon which a prosecutor could make any other criminal cases. So we know they'd been through it. They'd also summoned something like around 1,000 FBI agents to pore over all those materials to look for Donald Trump's name. And to redact his name and to bring to his attention whatever pictures, images, mentions, emails, texts there were. So they'd already been through it. It should not have been difficult for them to produce it according to the federal law, which was passed.
That is real, by the way, from like the reports that we see from months ago that, yeah, 1,000 FBI employees were tasked with scrounging through the Epstein files and removing mentions of Trump. We already knew that. So this is like in addition to that. So even with 1,000 FBI agents doing it prior, and with the current DOJ censorship effort, they're still like leaking Trump shit, you know, unintentionally. But out of those 1,000 no leaks, yeah, I wonder how they're compartmentalizing the information, you know, because the FBI is not super pro-Trump, and there are not enough Trump loyalists in the FBI for them to pull 1,000 without getting some people over who definitely don't like the regime.
Overwhelmingly by Congress, in which Donald Trump purported to support. So they're in violation in that way, but also...
then again, like, what would they say? The fact that the FBI was tasked with removing Trump's name from all of those documents, that already got leaked. So I guess beyond that, the most they could do is send screenshots or whatever, which I guess would be nice. You know, screenshots of the grand jury text saying, yes, Trump's a pedophile.
These redactions are obviously way sweeping and overly broad. The law calls for redactions of identifying information relating to specific victims, but they also have to elucidate exactly why a particular redaction is taking place, rather than just blacking out an entire document like that. And, you know, a lot of the file looks like that, like, you know, ransom notes kind of pieced together and just blacked out all over the place.
Do members of the Oversight Committee have even an inkling of what was redacted in the, 500-plus pages that were blacked out? Can Congress compel the DOJ to at least explain?
Yes.
Well, Congress could if the Speaker of the House, who controls the office of the House Counsel, our lawyers, would be willing to go to court. I think, you know, someone was asking the question why the members weren't ready to go to court. Individual members of the House don't have standing to go. The minority doesn't have standing to get in there. If anybody's got standing, it is the majority and the Speaker speaking for the entire House. Now, this was something that was voted on by the entire House, so you think we should be able to push forward, but it just looks like a game of cat and mouse and hide and go seek with the Republicans. They're doing everything in their power to sandbag the investigation that they're pretending to support.
So in a September FBI hearing, Congressman Thomas Massie said the FBI was holding back 20 names of suspected Epstein clients, including figures in the music industry, finance, politics, banking.
Remember when Kash Patel swore under oath that these people didn't exist? There are no Epstein files. There was no Epstein client list. I remember that. That was cool. It wasn't just Kash Patel either. It's insane that Kash Patel went from like conspiracy podcast grifter guy into being the most dirty and complicit participant in this cover-up. Literally, like day 1 to day 2, released the Epstein files. There never were any Epstein files. Oh, there are Epstein files? Here you go. Yeah, Epstein wasn't real to begin with.
Ash Patel denied the FBI was holding anything back, but did we learn anything from that front, from this first release of files? And if not, do you expect we will?
Well, we should be able to. That 20, of course, is a very conservative estimate of the names that are in there. You don't run a decades-long, multi-billion-dollar sex trafficking ring around the world with just 20 clients or 20 people involved. I mean, this is a major financial, business, managerial operation and criminal operation. So it's going to be a lot more than that. And look, these names will come out. Remember that a lot of the victims know exactly who is in there, but they don't want to cross these, billionaires or government officials or people who occupy real positions of power and influence and control, because I'm certain that they've threatened to make their lives miserable, or at least made implicit threats.
Incredibly slim congratulations that we've graduated to a point where Democrats can acknowledge that degree of conspiracism, right? Like, not only is the government covering this up, but also like a lack of transparency from the victims might be because they're being silenced. I know the Dems are still really, really pathetic rhetorically on these issues. I just remember that for a while, the mainstream Democrat opinion on the subject was this is a distraction from kitchen table issues, right? People don't care about this as much as they do the price of eggs, so let's not even talk about it.
To that effect, but it's just building up like a pressure cooker right now. These names are going to come out one way or another.
And Congressman Ro Khanna has proposed an array of options if there is evidence the administration either redacted or withheld information to protect anyone associated with Epstein's crimes. Same if further batches withhold key information. So Khanna floated subpoenas, contempt proceedings, even impeachment of Attorney General Pam Bondi and other DOJ officials. Ro
Khanna and Thomas Massie have already drafted articles of impeachment against Pam Bondi, though they haven't decided yet whether or not they actually want to proceed with them.
Democrats follow through if the DOJ does not comply with the law.
Oh, we're going to use every means within the panoply of powers that may be at our disposal. But just remember that it depends on pulling over enough Republicans to create a majority. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
You only need a couple, dude. And also, every single Republican but one voted for the release of the Epstein files. You've got some serious momentum here, especially if you're going after Pam Bondi, because MAGA doesn't like Pam Bondi. So there might be people who are more willing to go after her because they see it as more politically permissible than going after Trump.
Is leaving the House on January 5th. And, Nancy Mace is running for governor. So it's not going to be easy to do that. You saw the extraordinary political mobilization that it took on the part of Oversight Democrats to get the original subpoena imposed, and then the Department of Justice and Attorney General Bondi have completely been obstructing that subpoena and not complying with it. So it's like pulling teeth. But there remains a massive pressure in the country to get this done. And
like chess one by one. I guess my hope would be, like, if they got Pam Bondi on a skewer and got her to testify, could they get her to turn on the rest of the administration? Like, Pam Bondi is relatively young. She might, she's certainly going to outlive Trump. I wonder if she'd be willing to flip. I don't think she's that much of a loyalist. She's like super, super, super self-interested. And she's a woman. And, yeah, and worst of all, she's a woman. Exactly. She may fear retribution.
And, one of the reasons I think for this, Alex, is that there have been so many child abuse scandals and the sex abuse scandals even of young adults all over the country, whether we're talking about sports teams, colleges, universities, Boy Scouts, churches, you name it. And so there's a huge reservoir of interest in seeing that these materials come out, and we figure out how these rings actually continue. And remember that QAnon has been promoting this idea for a long time, that there is a ring of very powerful pedophiles who've been procuring underage girls for the amusement of older men. Well, there seems to be a lot of truth in that. It's just that that ring and that circle revolves a lot around Donald Trump's friends, or his best friend for over a decade, Jeffrey Epstein. And now they're doing whatever they can to placate Ghislaine Maxwell, who, as you know, has been moved to a very sweetheart deal prison camp where she's getting...
Yep. Had her prison facility upgraded and has also been getting treated like a queen over at her new facility. The warden has been giving her a ton of privileges that other people at the facility do not get, and Trump has literally only said good things about her since the transfer of the facility.
All kinds of five-star Trump hotel-like treatment in terms of room service and the ability to work out whenever she wants and all those kinds of things. So we're in the middle of this story right now.
Yeah. We are. Well, we will have more to come and talk with you about that. But let's move on, sir, to the judiciary hearing where former special counsel Jack Smith defended his...
Nope. Don't care. Too late. Don't care. Too late. Don't care. Too late.
It's that simple. Why do you think he is working so hard not to get them released for so many months? What do you think the real reason is?
These files implicate billionaires and friends of his and political donors that he's trying to protect. And Epstein also had close ties to our own intelligence agencies and Israel's intelligence agencies. That's why there's so much effort in trying to stop this. And I do believe they'll try to stop it somewhere else. And that...
What the is this suit this guy's wearing? The gorge on the lapel is so high. What the hell? Look at that. He looks like a penguin. That's crazy.
Decades. That is wrong. Do not let the Senate muck this bill up. And if you're a party to that in the Senate, you are part of this cover-up that we are trying to expose. I am sorry if one of your billionaire donors is going to get embarrassed because he went to Rape Island. That is what they have coming. In fact, they need to be on the other side of bars, a lot of them. Some of them will be embarrassed, but some of them need to go to prison, and the survivors know that. So how will we know if this bill has been successful? We will know.
I wish he was a Democrat.
There are men, rich men, in handcuffs being perp-walked to the jail. And until then, this is still a cover-up.
I'm a bit of a Massie stan right now. Listen, he's earning it right now. Insane how Massie will call it that, but not the Dems. Yeah. Or point out, like, you know, association with Israel. There's a lot of stuff Massie does that the Democrats don't think they could get away with. Or aren't interested in getting away with. He's going to get a fatal illness in the next month. Nah, that's the reason why I say, like, I don't think there are really that many consequences for crossing Trump. Because Thomas Massie has been an actual thorn in their side for, quite a while, really, but especially this past year. And nothing's happened to him. He's still stuck right to it, you know? If they're going to start poisoning enemies of the establishment, they would have done it to him already. I'm so mad Biden didn't release this shit. Yeah, pretty frustrating, huh? Super frustrating, isn't it? That the Biden admin could have released all of these files if he wanted to. Has Kamala Harris said anything about this? No. Following through with her inability to meet the moment or rise to the occasion, I believe Kamala Harris has basically been completely silent on anything involving Epstein. She'd rather talk about what a brave job she did leading a campaign for like 100 days. To be fair, would it have been as impactful if he did? It seems like Trump's mishandling the files caused more harm to him. Yeah, but Trump's already president, so the harm to him is kind of... Listen, vindictive as I am, I'm okay with Trump not suffering the embarrassment of having the files released while he's president if it also means he doesn't get to be president. Biden probably didn't just because it would have implicated too many Assad agents, man. God damn, I hate him. I hate him so much. And Clinton. I hate him. Yeah. What do we do when Vance becomes president? Vance will only become president if he's up against Kamala Harris or Pete Buttigieg or something. I guess I just don't think they would have mattered at that time. Whimsical. When Biden took office, Donald Trump had just failed an insurrectionary attack on the Capitol building. Biden could have had Trump put in a goddamn hole in the ground, and the world would have celebrated. He chose not to because he hates you.